We're live. And you're unmuted.
Okay, are you there, Amber?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can we turn that up a little bit? Yes. Okay, it's 9:03. I think we'll call the Subdivision Committee meeting to order. Let's start with roll call. I'm Russ Ford with the Planning Department.
I'm Radomir Gavrilovic with Environment Health.
Amber Bissett, Department of Transportation.
Okay, so first item, agenda item 2A, boundary line adjustment 2019-0054 for William and Tona Moores. Boundary line adjustment to reconfigure the boundaries between 3 existing parcels and merge a 4th parcel. So this is in the coastal zone, 3.2 miles north of Manchester Town Center, located about 0.8 of a mile east of State Route 1 on an unnamed private road. So let's start with environmental health.
Is this property within the town limits?
No, it's adjacent to Irish Beach, but it's not incorporated.
No, okay. So can I see the map? Amber, do you have any comments?
No,
Nope.
So they're taking, this is actually a separate lot that was previously recognized with the CC.
Okay.
It's not really valuable like that because it's not developable, so they're just gonna merge that into this one and sort of reconfigure these so that they're, I would expect for building, but
Purposes?
who knows?
Okay. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't we don't have any files for them, so at this point we don't have. Are they in coastal zone?
Yes.
They are. So they're just boundary line adjust. Yeah, we don't have
There's
any
nothing
comments.
on it
Yeah,
right
we
now.
don't have any comments.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, and planning is recommending standard approval, I believe, conditions for the staff report. So, since this has to go to CPA, what we're actually doing is just recommending approval to the CPA. So, can I get a motion?
Okay, I move to recommend approval to CPA of boundary line adjustment B 2019-0054.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Conditions per our staff reports. Okay, next up, agenda item 2B, boundary line adjustment 2020-09 for Robert and Tuesday Mackesy. This is a boundary line adjustment to reconfigure the boundaries between 4 existing lots, 1.5 miles southeast of Willits on the east side of Sawyer's Lane. Is there anybody here representing this application? It doesn't look like it. Do we have anybody waiting, Andrew? Nope. Okay. Okay, environmental health.
So we have like 2 separate addresses for that property where the house is.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, well, by the maps that Ron submitted, they will avoid the septic septic system and the water well. So we don't have any problems with that. So
Okay.
and then there was, but this one is gonna be a joint, so PH don't have any comments.
Okay. So no concerns. Transportation?
We have no comment.
Okay. And planning is recommending standard conditions. So can I get a motion?
I move to approve boundary line adjustment 2020-09 with standard conditions.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next up, agenda item 2C, boundary line adjustment 2020-10 for Moreno and Company. This is a boundary line adjustment to reconfigure the boundaries between 4 existing lots about half a mile south of Redwood Valley on the west side of East Road. Is there anybody here for this meeting? Not yet. Well, let's start with transportation. Do you have any
We have
concerns,
no
Amber?
comment.
No
Nope.
comments? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so in environment health we had like only files for only one parcel. We didn't know that they somehow,
That they were separate lots.
yeah, they're separate lots. So and then we had like judge with the home addresses. So not knowing that, like we can't really determine that this can be separated or boundary line adjusted as they want.
So what's your primary concern? That the septic is going to get cut off from?
Yeah, just that the per our SERs that we have, I just need to double check if the replacement areas or the leach fields are all on one side of the parcel. Just like that's the biggest concern, and the wells, because this well is close to be in both of the like lots, parcel 2 or parcel 3. So that well can be also like an issue down the road. Yeah, and then so that's the biggest concern, basically, the well and the leach field.
So, I guess we have a couple options here. Is there a condition that you could apply that would ameliorate this right now? Do you need to speak to somebody about it? Because I know that they would prefer not to continue it if that was possible.
Oh yeah,
So
I agree with that.
if we need to, we can take a quick recess and try to reach out to one of the
Roland?
agents or the
Yeah,
applicant.
yeah, that would be helpful. I believe that
No,
if
you're like the third person, so
uh,
you're like the third person, but there's
if
an outage.
if he's willing to participate and just to explain, I can double check the maps, and then maybe we have more files that I can like include on the environmental health side, because I see like 3 houses. I just have like two houses and numbers on me, so I'm not sure about the 3rd house. So I don't know where that leach field is or the replacement area.
Okay. Well, he's got the leach field shown on here.
Yeah, but not the replacements.
Hey, so Amy Wynn's trying to get in for her pre-app too,
Okay.
but she says the Zoom keeps coming back as invalid. So could you resend
I just told
her
Caitlin
to resend it? Perfect,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break. Can we take like a little 5-minute recess, and I'll see if I can get a hold of Ron here.
Okay, sure.
Thanks. So, what other conditions I can find?
You can have them potentially submit like a revised map showing that information, if it's just the location of the information that's a concern.
I swear I sent
But
it
if
to her
you're
this
concerned that
morning.
it's too
Did I
close to the
send the
boundary
wrong
line
one?
adjustment, maybe
I-
like a tentative
Let me see what I
Hold
sent
on,
her.
hold on.
Okay.
But let me see if I can get a hold of them. I think Okay. Did you settle into that?
Huh?
So what do you think?
So, how I see it, this was the first house. This was the main house,
Mm-hmm.
and this number was 78,000. Okay.
This
7,800.
The northernmost house?
That one is the second residential per SCR that I have.
Okay.
Okay. So this one was 7,800. This one was they got the number 7780. I don't know how.
7780.
Yeah, 7780. Per the assessors, if you check the assessors, if you check the assessors, so in 2013, when they this one was Carl even did this 2009, okay, so from 2009 to 2017, single family residence was the middle one, and that number was 7,800.
Okay.
And then at the same time when Carl designed the SCR for both houses, these two. So this one was the main, this one was the SRU. Okay, so this had like 7,800. This had 7,780. Okay, so I'm just playing with the addresses right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
This is how he designed. So on his design, the north house was SRU, and the south house, like the second lower house, was single family residence.
Okay.
Okay.
So because initially they were thinking that both of those were on the same lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So because the first house was dedicated 7,800 per the numbers, right? I don't know how and why the northern house got the lower number than the primary house. Okay, so somehow it happened, and then that stayed like that, and I have in my files that, and then somehow in assessors in 2018 when they went and assessed, who knows, they switched the numbers, or maybe you guys you
we
did
corrected it in
maybe
in
you
between,
yeah, so you recorrected and pushed the 7,800 up north to be this one,
Right.
but this one is actually a second residential unit
Okay.
in the beginning.
Right.
Okay, and this this is not even like installed, because I believe the Nicole just recently approved this.
And was that approved as a
That
farm
that
labor
was
housing? Or
that was
ADU?
approved as a ADU,
Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense.
and this is like correct number 7770. Okay.
Smaller number.
Yeah. So all that stuff threw me off about the. So I don't know. I haven't found a letter from planning department stating that you're changing the addresses.
Okay.
So I don't have that in the files at least.
So
You
we
know.
we can square that up on our end. So is there anything that you want to add as a condition for this boundary line adjustment? Do you have any concerns about the proposed adjustment that they want to do with the lots?
Mm. So each of them, they have a water source. He said that they're all having the.
Yeah, it looks like this one has district water. These two have wells.
Okay.
Yeah.
And plus, they're not subdividing this. They're just making a.
They're just moving existing lots.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The goal is to get all this ag use in the back to just be one
Yeah.
large lot.
I don't see any objections. I was just confused regarding the edges is and which is which. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't like really focused on the leach fields. There is like that existing fuel container close by, but it is what it is. It's already a
So the
fuel.
house, the water, and the leach are all on the relevant parcel.
Yeah, and the replacement areas. So I just need to double check. I believe this one 7800 is away as well because it goes up north. So you see, so this one is actually this.
Yeah, so that's gonna be this guy here. So this is the existing field,
Yeah,
and that's the backup.
that's the backup.
So that one's gonna be back
Yeah.
over here by the road. Okay.
But
Yeah, so it looks like the road is represented on here otherwise.
yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
off the map.
So okay.
So the backup field would be kinda right in here.
The road and the maps, like it looks like that it's actually this two. So this one is 7700 and this one then it's 778.
So that number's,
Yeah, that number is wrong. Yeah,
okay.
should go up there. So this is the building permit. This is 7700, 7800. And that somehow represents this, and this represents this. Okay.
Guys are coming off a little muffled on the audio, so just make sure you look at the owl too.
We'll try to speak up.
Thank you. Enunciate. Thank you.
So I can't. Okay. Oh man. Who's the other one? Yeah, that's it. I don't have I don't have this one. 7800. I don't have those. So I have those two. But I don't have the 7800. So I don't know on this side. I don't know where replacement area is on that leach.
So
Sometimes Ron puts the replacement areas as well there.
So do you want to ask for an updated map, or maybe just a detail showing this northern parcel where that replacement area is?
Yeah, just that. I don't. To be honest, I think the ones that he's proposing here are okay, and I need like replacement areas as well here. So
Okay.
just replacement areas on each of the lots. Because if a replacement area is like away from that dirt road and maybe encroaching to like closer to railroad or whatnot.
Yeah, let me just grab a condition here.
Do you understand the condition?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so here's my proposed condition 7. A revised map showing the location of all replacement septic fields shall be submitted to the satisfaction of environmental health.
Yeah. Yeah. How? Why I can't word it as it?
So are you satisfied with that condition?
Yes.
Okay. So are you still with us, Amber?
Yes, I'm here.
She fell asleep.
Okay, planning is otherwise recommending standard conditions. So did you catch that special condition 7?
Do I need to repeat it, or can I just say special condition 7?
I think you can just reference the condition, yeah, as number 7. So can we get a motion?
I move to. Hold on. I move to approve boundary line adjustment 2020-10 with special condition number 7.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
Thank you. Okay, so that wraps up our boundary line adjustments. We have no minor subdivisions today. So our last application is agenda item 4A, pre-application conference 2020-0004 for Karen Tripty, a pre-application conference for general plan amendment and rezone from RR10 to RR2, and a subsequent subdivision of a 11.5 acre parcel into 2 5-acre parcels. So this would be in the coastal zone, 5.5 miles north of Fort Bragg on the east side of State Route 1. So it looks like we have some guests waiting. Is everybody admitted here?
Hi,
Tara, are you there?
Hi, this is Tara Jackson with Coastal Planning. Can you hear me?
I got you now, yeah. Can you hear us and see us and everything?
Hello.
Yeah, I can. And then I want to make one, before we even begin, one quick clarification that I don't know how much we'll be able to go into detail on this, but that we are exploring both the idea of either doing a simple lot split of 2 5 plus or minus acres, or additionally a subdivision of 4 parcels with 1 remainder.
Okay. So for the purposes of the pre-app, we just reviewed the 2 parcel split. We didn't review the 4 parcel and the remainder the 5 parcel minor sub. So that would make a couple of minor changes. We might be able to cover those as we go through it, but for now, so the way that we reviewed this, when I first looked at this, I believe that we would also have to process this as a general plan amendment, because in the coastal zone, the lot minimums are specified as part of the classification. So I don't think that you could rezone from RR10 to RR2 without changing the general plan. So we factored that in as well. So we're looking at this as a general plan amendment, LCP amendment, rezone from RR10 to RR2, and then a 2 lot minor division within the coastal zone. Let's see. So there's a lot of existing development. So Tara, I sent you this packet a few weeks ago. Did you have any concerns or anything that you wanted to discuss right off the top here?
Was this packet sent via the mail, or did you also send it an email?
I emailed it to you.
Okay. I don't think I received that, or if I did, I must have. Well, I guess I'll say I had. Yeah, we didn't get a packet in hard copy. So I can't really speak to any concerns at this point in time because I do not have that in my file.
Okay. All right, we'll just go through it then here.
Okay.
So let's see. Parcel number 069-06026, 11.5 acres, 26585 North Highway 1 Fort Bragg. The owner and applicant, Karen and Lee Tripty. The existing zoning is rural residential 10, and that's also the general plan. It is within the coastal zone. There is no specific plan area. I couldn't find a specific instrument that created the parcel. My guess is that it was probably created by deed. It looks like it existed since at least 1964.
Real quick, could you email me the packet right now? I'm not finding it in my email. Is there someone that could email me the packet at this point?
Yeah, let's just hang on one sec. I'll be right back.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that should be on its way there, Tara.
Thank you.
Let you know, Amy is sitting on the other Tara Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So, what CDP 4904 means? Like that's a custom development plan
It was a coastal development permit. Yeah.
permit. And then how long? So 04 means like 2004.
Mm-hmm.
How long that permit is valid for?
Well, it would have been for whatever that permit was for, the particular permit.
It's for like a single family residence, attached garage, gas cottage, septic system, well, greenhouses.
Yeah,
workshop.
so all that stuff was completed.
So that already was approved and installed?
Yeah, that's all there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, CDP 2004-49 for single-family residence and addition, modification to other existing structures and the septic.
So at this point they have like 2 houses there and 3 wells?
So existing, it says there's a 5,000 square foot single-family residence with a 1170 square foot attached garage. There's a 640 square foot guest cottage. There is a almost,
Septic, a well.
yeah. So there's an almost 2,000 square foot quilting workshop with a bathroom in it. A tractor barn. There was a categorical exclusion or exemption 3504 for septic repair, which they did back in 2004. So that would have been the most recent thing. There was also one for a replacement well.
I would like to point out that not all, I don't know if you said this, but not all of those buildings are existing. However, the 2004 CDP is vested. They recently got a confirmation because they did install that replacement area in 2004. They are currently working on the quilting barn, and but not all of those developments are existing at this point in time. So there is the red house existing, like I said, they're working on the quilting barn, and the replacement building's been installed, as well as the secondary well.
Okay, what about the tractor barn? Is that there?
No.
So that's pending. Okay. Did you get that yet, Tara? The email?
I did.
So this is all covered in that handout. I was just going to highlight a couple of things. So first of all, the application fees. So for the general plan amendment and rezone, if we submitted those together, we're looking at approximately $13,529 for that application. And then the minor subdivision, if that was separate, and again, this would just be for the 2 lots, that's $87.55. If we were able to bundle all 3 of those together, which I'm not 100% sure that we can, but the estimate would be approximately $20,303 for those 3 projects, and again, that was just for the 2 lot minor sub.
Understood.
So let's go down to staff comments here. So the first thing that we already covered was the general plan amendment, which I believe would also be required with the rezone. So that would kind of increase the cost and the processing time, everything associated with it. The other thing is the LCP market area analysis. So Mendocino County Code Section 20.524.010C2 requires analysis of the amount of parcel development within the established LCP market area prior to the approval of a new land division. So I'm sure you guys already know this, but basically we need to make sure that at least 50% of the existing parcels are developed before we can create new parcels. The only issue here is that the existing analysis is from 2009. So if this were submitted, if you guys went ahead and filed an application, there's every reason to think that we're going to have to update our analysis, so that it's going to kind of add on to that processing time. Just for the sake of argument, the existing list from 2009 shows that there was 78% of development within this market area 2. I can't believe that there have been so many parcels created in the intervening years that now we're out of compliance with that, but we won't really know until that analysis is updated. So just something to keep in mind. So regarding CEQA, CEQA's in the process of changing the impact paradigm to vehicle miles traveled. That's something that's still in the works. I don't have a whole bunch of information for you on that, but it's something that obviously we'd have to address if you did file this, because that would be an environmental impact. That's kind of a moving target, and I'd have to confer with Jesse on that to get you a little bit more information if you wanted to dive into it.
That was sequel was in regarding of the road.
So for when you do a project, you have to do the environmental analysis,
Yeah.
and it used to be basically
Assessment.
like a traffic impact.
Okay.
But they're changing that to vehicle miles traveled. So basically, if your project is significant, then you have to establish some sort of mitigation to offset that.
Okay.
Which it kind of seems like for our rural areas might not be possible. For something like this, we would probably be looking at this being screened out as a less than significant project, so that would make it allowable under that VMT paradigm, but there's a lot of moving parts, and that hasn't been set yet, so we're not sure.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's a good question. So there was an ARC survey that was done in 2004 and a biological survey done in 2003. Unless you guys have some updated information about that, we're going to go ahead and assume that both of those would need to be updated as part of this project. So for here, I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to defer to Amber. Did you have any comments about road improvements or anything?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we would want to see a 60-foot wide easement to each parcel, which I looked up some of the maps that have been done in the area. It doesn't look like it'll be an issue because it looks like you have a 60-plus foot easement all the way to the existing parcel. The road approach, excuse me, the road approach is a Caltrans jurisdiction, so we wouldn't have requirements there. With the 2 parcel subdivision of 5+ acres, the road requirement would be an 18-foot wide double chip seal over a 22-foot wide base. And I was just looking.
I'm sorry,
If
could you repeat that? So,
Yeah.
18-foot wide.
So what it is it's 22-foot wide rock base, and then it would have to have a double chip seal of 18 feet wide on top of that base. So there's 4 feet that are sort of like a shoulder to the chip sealed road. And it looks like, haven't been to the site, but just from Google Earth, it looks like it might be a paved or chip sealed road up to that first driveway and then dirt after that. Is that correct? Do you know? Can you hear me?
You still there, Tara?
Yeah, we got muted. Okay. Yes, I believe that's correct. That already has the chip seal.
Yeah, it looks like it does, just from looking at Google Earth up until that first driveway, and then maybe it turns to dirt after that.
Yeah.
And then I would
driveway that like actually goes onto the property. That diverts to the property off of Sergeant Lane.
yesterday. So is the proposed access from that road to go straight back? Because there were a few private roads in the area, and it looks like the current home takes access from, I don't know, is it called Sergeant Lane?
Yeah. So there are two access points. There's the southern one.
Thanks.
Yep, southern one, and that's the one you're looking at. So that's the way that we're currently getting access. There is also access from the north on Rosa Lane, which is the one that is kind of highlighted in the 2004 permit, and that one, based on our research, has a 45-foot easement all the way to the northern property. There's like a driveway that doesn't have the access, but it leads only to that property, to the neighbor's property.
So if it would be easier, because it sounds like maybe you don't know exactly what you're going to do, I could speak in more general terms. So any private road that serves more than 4 parcels needs to have a 60-foot easement. Any private road that serves 4 or fewer parcels can be a 40-foot easement.
Okay.
And then in terms of the road improvements, so for a subdivision where the smallest net parcel size is 5 acres or more, but less than 40 acres, you need to have, which that two parcel subdivision would fall into, you need to have the 22-foot wide rocked road with an 18-foot wide chip seal surface.
I see. Okay.
Or if we give you the other option, for a subdivision where the smallest net size is less than 5 acres, then the improvement level is 26-foot wide rocked road with no chip seal surfacing.
Hey Amber, it's Amy. Does that also include additional shoulders, or this is different from the wider base and the narrower top? It's all rocked, so it's all 26.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And so that is if the road serves more than 4 parcels. So if you're splitting the access between 2 roads and any of the roads serve less than 4 parcels, then you would go down to a 22-foot wide rocked road with no chip seal surfacing. So there's quite a few different scenarios here, I guess. But those are the sort of generic requirements. Hopefully that helps.
Yep, cool, thank you.
Yeah, Amber, if you have any handouts or materials, go ahead and forward those to me, and I'll pass them on to Tara.
Okay. I can try to type that up. It's in our road standards, but the way that it's written can be a little bit confusing. So maybe I can try to type it up into an easier way to understand it.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
And then
to install or replace any drainage culverts where needed. There needs to be a turnaround at the end of the access road, which is rocked and can be either a 40-foot wide radius within a 50-foot easement, or a 20 by 60 within a 40 by 80. So it can either be a cul-de-sac design or a T design.
Russ, they both can't be unmuted because it's giving a feedback. So if one's talking, the other one has to be on mute.
Can you guys still hear me? Somebody keeps trying to call me in because I'm on my phone and I don't know if it's interrupting my audio.
Yeah, no, it's fine on this end. It's just we've got really low volume coming through our speaker.
Okay, and then let's see. So then we would need to do an inspection following the improvements, and so current fees would apply. Currently, an inspection is $200. And then all easements of record would need to be shown on the parcel map, and utility lines are shown. All utility lines shall be shown as easements with widths of record or a minimum of 10 feet, whichever is greater. And that's it.
I have a question. Can you hear me? Am I unmuted? Okay. So what might be some of our options? I know that there are some exceptions that can be made if we can make compelling cases. With that, especially for the lot split, would that be something that's feasible in terms of overall road width? And the reason why I bring this up is that on Sargent Lane, there are some natural resource constraints. There's a drainage area and some Brantford.
Yeah, that is, so environmental impact is one of the reasons that we've approved exception requests in the past. Whether the environmental impact would be greater than the benefit of the road width. So that's definitely something we would consider if there's no way to widen the road and avoid those areas. Yes. You're welcome.
Amber, just a follow-up question for my information. So when I was preparing the pre-app, I was using the southern road as the assumed access. So if they did have to improve that, do they only have to improve it up to their parcel, or do they have to improve the entire length of the road for the parcels beyond the project area?
No, only up to the parcel from a publicly maintained road to the project access.
Okay, so they're close to the road. That's not too bad.
It actually does. It's only to the access to the project. So,
Okay.
if your second parcel, say you split it into two parcels, and your second parcel accesses it from the western side, you don't even need to improve it to the length of the parcel, only to the place where the last parcel takes access.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
So here.
So it'd be wherever, so wherever that second driveway was for the other lot.
Okay.
It would have to be up to that driveway. Yeah. Okay, so then on that same note for access, I did reach out to Jim Shoup at Caltrans just to see what kind of information they have. Again, assuming that southern driveway was going to be the access. He says that they would probably require a 20-foot wide throat at the connection of the highway. He also referred us to Eric DeLillo, who apparently is our regional Caltrans rep down here, who is happy to come out and do an inspection for free and just look at the roads and tell you guys what they would require should you go ahead with the application. Eric's contact info is in the pre-app information that I sent you. Okay, I think that was about it for planning. Let's go to EH. So what do you got, Rand?
Regarding like how many parcels is gonna be on that subdivision, regarding the rezone, we don't have any conditions whatsoever. Regarding the different parcel numbers, is like if you have two parcels, we don't require any proof of water or any investigation necessary. But if you go above those two parcels, then it should be like proof of water for each of the parcel.
Is that anything above 2, or is it specifically the 5? Like if you have 3 parcels or more?
It's anything above the 2, because the parcel is within the sufficient water resources. So, meaning there is like enough water for not doing a hydro study, hydrological study.
Okay.
And of course, it needs to have each of the parcels needs to have a approved septic system, sized at least for a 3-bedroom house. And I don't know the existing house, how big it is, and it needs to be upgraded or improved
It's 5,000 square feet.
Okay, so if that residence doesn't have a replacement area, it should be addressed as well.
Okay, do you guys have any questions about that? Did you get all that?
I don't. Let me. Amy, do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, I just want to confirm
Confirm
that for the water, if it's just a lot split, so creation of two parcels, there's no water investigation required. But if it's three parcels or more, then approved water is what's required?
That's correct.
Okay.
So proof of water, not hydrological study.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's a proof of water on each parcel being proposed.
Can you please repeat one more time? I couldn't.
Do we need to do a proof of water for each parcel that is now being proposed? We go over the two.
Yes.
So the other thing that going from a 2-lot to basically a 5-lot split that's going to make a big difference is the inclusionary housing fee. So that kicks in whenever you have 2 or more vacant lots. Stand by.
Vandy needs you to send
I
him
got
an
it.
invite.
I got it.
He can't.
I got it.
So right now, if we're just looking at a 2-parcel split, there's no inclusionary housing that would apply. If you did bump that up to a 5-lot split, then we're looking at 4 vacant lots. So that's going to be, I think, 3% of the current market value. 2%? I thought it was 2% for 2 or 3 lots, and then.
It's all based upon the number of unimproved parcels that you have. So if there's a residence on those parcels and you're only creating 2 that are unimproved, then you're at the 2%. But if you're above that, then you're at the 5%. Yeah.
When Russ comes back in, I have a question about that.
There's gonna be a couple more meetings, like, there's gonna be, to you, or? Timmy or Jim, because for that, he actually has to be the one.
Did you find it?
Yes. So 5% for if we had 4 vacant lots, it would be 5%.
Yes.
So, as of March of this year, the median home sales price is $392,000. So, at the 5% value for the 4 vacant lots, that would be $19,600 for the inclusionary housing fee. So that would also have to be factored in if you did split that many lots.
May I ask a question?
Yeah. Please.
Okay. So for if this was three parcels or more, and we've got this development permit that's approved, accessory buildings, if we included in our subdivision request, a coastal development permit request to convert some of those structures to residences at the time of division, would that, and if we crafted the design of the parcels such that these buildings that don't exist right now, but that would be existing as one building, one residence on each parcel that we created with that, then mean that we would those be almighty. My sentences are inside out. Sorry about that. Okay.
I think I get the gist of your question.
Start over. Yeah. If structures that are out there, once they're built, if we include a coastal development permit to convert them from accessory buildings to residences, and there's one on each parcel, does that mean that they are not vacant? And then we don't have the inclusionary housing fee because we would actually be developing housing at the same time?
Correct. Yeah, so the inclusionary housing fee only applies to vacant lots. So if you did have a residence on any of those, if you drew the lot lines around those and then simultaneously converted it to residences, that would minimize or completely eliminate that inclusionary housing fee.
Thanks. Sorry, that was an epic twisted question.
I got it. I knew where you were going.
This is Julia. I just want to be clear too that you wouldn't necessarily have to put a residence on every parcel. You're allowed to have one that's vacant and not be triggering inclusionary housing. So just to be clear, you don't have to put a residence on all three. You only need to have it on two if you're trying to get not have to do the inclusionary housing aspect. You're able to have one that's unimproved.
Cool. Thank you.
I think that's all that I had. Did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
The only question I had was about, I was in my office and I heard the discussion about the water. And so I just wanted to come back to that because even with two parcels, normally we've seen where there's been the requirement to still at least do proof of water and demonstrate you have water to support those parcels, even at a two parcel level for coastal subdivisions. So I wasn't sure. I just wanted to make sure that that's something that we look into a little bit more. Because I've usually seen where you're required to prove it on all parcels that are part of the subdivision rather than just one for coastal.
So this is in a sufficient water area.
Okay.
I think that
Yeah,
might be
and
making
then-
the difference.
Okay.
Yeah, it says like dwelling density. If you have two or less, it doesn't.
Nothing is required then.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we were looking at that table too, because insufficient might make that difference. I didn't
Yeah,
have it in
it's-
front of me. I heard that and wanted to make sure that we confirmed that.
I was surprised too.
Yeah.
I have one more comment or thing I wanted to clarify, that the comments that I gave were pretty much only about the subdivision. I don't know that we would have any without the subdivision that we would have any comments on any of the other parts of the application.
Right, the rezone or general plan amendment.
Yeah.
Can I see your groundwater data? Thank you.
So even for inland subdivisions, we require proof of water for each for at least one parcel.
Right.
But on the coastal side, we ask for each of the lots to have proof of water, even if it's two or more. The only difference is, I believe that if it's
Sufficient.
sufficient
Yeah.
or no.
Yeah.
Because the coastal has a groundwater study, and most areas inland don't have that. So I can see why that would be a regulation.
That's correct. I don't think I've worked on a project that has sufficient water resources designation, so that's very
Neither do
positive.
I.
I don't think that we see that very often. So good. I just wanted to make sure because that was new to me. Just wanted to make sure that we had all of that I's dotted, T's crossed, because I know the question was asked again to confirm it. So I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, Amy or Tara, do you guys have any other questions?
I do. I have a question about biological buffers. So I know that in the code it says, you can't have a new subdivided parcel shall not be created or provided. Or excuse me, new subdivisions or boundary line adjustments shall not be allowed which would create or provide parcels entirely within a buffer area. And this is something often we've kind of gone back and forth about. Now, does that mean that can you do a reduced buffer analysis and have a subdivision that encompasses, that's within the 100 foot, entirely within the 100 foot, but doesn't go into 50 foot?
This is Julia. So potentially you could, but noting that 50-foot buffer is not guaranteed. So if you can accommodate 100 feet, that's going to be the preference, because otherwise you're sort of taking a gamble with your proposed layout because you need CDFW buy-off on a 50-foot buffer reduction. And we would likely require that building envelopes be designated. And just to note that those building envelopes, they don't maintain in perpetuity. So you may be, when one time would come to develop one of those building envelopes, that you'd be asked to update studies and demonstrate that it still meets all the buffer criteria to build within that building envelope.
Okay. I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. I'm learning to unmute. I've been a part of subdivisions that have the building envelope created, and then we've seen, 10 years later, the shapes of the resources on the ground, unless they're wet resources, those usually are pretty static, but dry resources kind of expand and contract over time, and so we're finding that, the exhibit map and building envelope needs to be adjusted to avoid directly impacting resources that might have moved from one part of the property to the other. So I'm wondering if there is a mechanism for easily updating the building envelope without having to go, in with like the development permit, right, without having to go back to the planning commission for subdivision modification.
Usually you do have to go back through a subdivision modification if you're completely moving the building envelope. If you're building within it, but you have to reduce, or the corner, you need to move it to one corner of the building envelope, but you're still within it, then you don't need anything. But if you're trying to relocate, or you need to relocate the building envelope entirely or expand it, that does trigger needing to do the subdivision modification.
Is that something that would be possible, or could you see it being possible to make that modification just at the committee level rather than having to go to planning commission or at zoning administrator level?
It just depends how the conditions are laid out. It could never be at the zoning administrator level, because the zoning administrator doesn't have authority over divisions of land. It would always be the planning commission. But we would probably see, if the condition was written such that it's to the satisfaction of the subdivision committee or to the staff about the building envelopes, there could be a potential that it just is reviewed by subdivision committee. But if it's recorded on the recorded map, then it definitely requires going back through planning commission.
Cool. I think that would definitely be something that we'll write down to try to remember to ask for, because we've got a couple of projects where the building envelopes that seem to make sense at the time of division, with the dry resources shifting. Sometimes they're larger, sometimes they're smaller, but the shapes are different from what was created just 10, 15 years ago. That's like okay, we have this whole additional process to go through to change those. One of them is an exhibit map as opposed to recorded.
Yeah, I think it really just makes a difference on whether or not it's on the recorded map or if it's just an exhibit within the planning and building files. Because often we see too, people may need, after they get approval on a subdivision and they start doing their condition compliance, they may need to make minor modifications to how the parcels are laid out. And often that map comes through subdivision committee and it's reviewed at the next meeting. And if everyone agrees that it still meets the criteria, that revised map can move forward.
Okay, so unless you guys have any other questions or anything you want to discuss, I think we're just about wrapped up here.
One more question, Tara here. You mentioned that the archaeological study would need to be updated. It was surveyed in 2004 and accepted in 2004, and I'm wondering why that would not be considered as
Just as a note, it's really hard to hear you guys. You might get a little bit closer to your microphone, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and I can answer that. So with the ARC survey, I mean, you can certainly submit what you have. Just what we've seen throughout time with our archaeological commission is because the standards change for how they evaluate resources, they often like to see an update to it because how they do the methodology used to do the survey has changed over time. But, you can certainly submit what you have, just noting that it'll go through the Archaeological Commission for review, and you may be required to update it at that time.
And
yeah,
biological as well?
Yeah.
But biological, definitely, that really needs to be within 2 years of when you're filing your application. Otherwise, it's there's just so many resources and their status changes over time and new are added. It's really important to have that up to date.
this is Amy. I have one question. Regarding Highway 1, and I think it's helpful to us that the CEQA is changed from LOS to VMT, pertinent to, the Highway 1 as a scenic corridor and not having, necessarily needing to widen Highway 1. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know that Coastal Commission is very protective of the Highway 1 as a scenic corridor, or scenic one, a two-lane highway. Do you guys have any thoughts about that?
Well, so since we're moving to vehicle miles traveled, and that's really for our CEQA compliance. I mean, when we're conducting our review related to the LCP, we still have level of service mentioned in most of our LCP documentation. So we would still be looking at the State Route 1 corridor study, talking about the level of service at the nearest intersection, and then also getting comments from Caltrans, and I doubt they had any comments about capacity in the immediate when Russ reached out to them before the meeting. But what we've seen with the VMTs, that's really about, we're developing thresholds of significance for Mendocino County. And with that, some of these minor subdivisions might be able to be what's called screened out, meaning that basically if you're not creating a substantial impact, that you're basically found to be less than significant moving forward. We're still in the kind of development phase of those documents and those thresholds, so I can't speak too definitively on it, but I think, at least Coastal Commission, I don't think they would have too many comments about Highway 1 capacity as long as you're able to meet the VMT threshold and that also you're not in an area that has a level of service of D or something like that, which I don't think is the case up in this area.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Thank
All
you
right,
so much,
thanks,
guys.
I'll send you whatever Amber sends me, and then also Rad, if you want to put something together for those, just the code section.
Yeah.
I'll pass that on to you guys.
Russ, I just sent out an email and I included Amy and Tara, so
Okay.
have it.
Okay.
All right, disregard then.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Amber.
Got it.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so we're on agenda item 5, which is matters from staff. Do we have anything to discuss?
No.
Amber?
Said with so much
Sorry, what was that, Amber?
No.
Did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so then I guess we're adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care.